She watched a human rip an apex predator into chunks like nothing, beginning arrival on Dreth. The jungle of Dreth was alive with sound. Each tree was a tower of dark, sinewy bark, its leaves gleaming with oily light that reflected the twin suns. Insects the size of birds thrummed in the shadows, and somewhere in the distance, a predator roared, a guttural, bone-deep sound that rattled the canopy. Tyrash crouched low, her crest of pale blue feathers pressed flat against her skull to hide her silhouette. She was not supposed to be here. As a scout of the Verity Dominion, her task was simple: map the jungle's perimeter for possible settlement zones. Yet, she had strayed too far, drawn by curiosity and that stubborn pride that made her ignore the strict guidelines of her officers. She regretted it now. Her talons gripped the root beneath her as she peered out at the clearing. The stench of blood lingered, fresh, coppery hot. She caught sight of movement. A Thresker, one of the apex predators of Dreth. Its scale body stretched 15 meters long, armor plates glittering like obsidian under the suns. Its jaws were wide enough to snap a Verthi war beast in two. No sane soldier, no matter how armed, would challenge one alone. But what Tyrash saw made her blood freeze. A human stood in the clearing. The stories she'd heard of humans, among her people, were contradictory. Some called them fragile prey creatures, soft-skinned and too reliant on tools. Others whispered that they were monsters wearing the guise of flesh, unnatural beings capable of violence beyond comprehension. Until now, she had never seen one in person. The human was bare-armed, no exosuit, no rifle, just a long, crude blade strapped across his back. He was standing between the Thresker and the half-devoured carcass of some other unfortunate beast. The predator roared and lunged. Tyrash expected to watch the human be torn apart in an instant. Instead, she saw something that unsettled her more than any horror story. The human moved, faster than her eyes could follow. He rolled aside, seized the predator's jaw with his bare hands, and wrenched it upward with crack like splitting stone. Muscles bunched and twisted under pale skin, veins standing out like cords. The predator thrashed, tail smashing trees into splinters, but the human held firm. His blade flashed, and in a brutal series of strikes, he ripped into the Thresker's neck. Flesh tore, armor plate shattered, blood sprayed in steaming arcs. By the time the beast collapsed, the human stood over it, chest heaving, drenched in gore that wasn't his own. He hadn't just killed it. He had reduced one of the deadliest creatures on Dreth into chunks of meat, as if it were nothing more than livestock for butchery. Tyrash's claws dug into the root. For the first time in years, her warrior's heart quivered with something dangerously close to fear. She had just watched a human do the impossible. Middle, the bond of necessity. Tyrash wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at her to retreat back to the safety of her unit, to report what she had seen. Yet she hesitated, because as a human bent over the carcass, she realized he wasn't butchering for sport. He was starving. His movements were desperate, efficient, not wasteful. He stripped flesh and stuffed it into a pack made from stitched hides. A survivor. Then, impossibly, his head turned. His eyes, gray, sharp as stone blades, met hers through the underbrush. "Come out," he said, voice carrying across the clearing. His words were heavily accented, but clear. "I can hear you breathing." Tyrash froze. She had cloaked herself well, feathers flat, scent masked by the jungle's pollen. How had he detected her? Reluctantly, she stood, stepping into the light. The human's gaze lingered on her spear, then on the ceremonial insignia on her chestplate. His hand did not move to his blade. Instead, he straightened. "Your Dominion," he said. "And you are," she began, her voice sharp, "a human." The word felt strange on her tongue. He gave a humorless smile. "Name's Kale." She studied him closely. His body bore scars, slashes, burns, punctures that told a battle survived against odds even harsher than this. He should not have been alive. No single human should have been able to stand against a Thresker without advanced weaponry, yet she had witnessed it with her own eyes. "Why are you here?" she demanded. "This world is restricted. Only Dominion scouts are permitted." Kale tore a strip of meat from the predator and tossed it aside. Ship crashed. 2 years ago. No rescue came. 2 years. That meant he had survived in the jungle of Dreth alone, without supplies, without comrades. Tyrash felt a shiver trace her spine. "And you fight Thresker as if they were prey animals," she muttered. His expression hardened. "You think I wanted this? You think I enjoy tearing apart monsters with my bare hands? It's survive or die. Every day. And I choose survive." For a long moment, they simply stared at one another, two predators measuring the other. Finally, Tyrash spoke. My patrol is days away. I could bring you back to safety if you help me survive this jungle until then. Kale's lip twitched, almost a smile. So the feathered warrior needs help? Her feathers bristled. Do not mock me, human. I could strike you down now. Then why haven't you? The silence that followed was heavier than any weapon. Rash's talons tightened on her spear, but she lowered it, because she knew the truth. What she had witnessed meant he could kill her if he wished. He hadn't, and that meant he was not her enemy. At least not yet. And so, unlikely allies were forged. The days that followed blurred into a trial of survival. The jungle tested them with venomous crawlers, swarms of razor-winged bats, and more predators lurking in the mist. Rash found herself relying on Kale's instincts, his uncanny ability to hear danger before it arrived, to smell changes in the wind, to track prey across impossible terrain. She had always considered the Verthi superior hunters, but compared to him, she felt like an unblooded child. Kale fought not with elegance, but with raw brutality that terrified her. When a pack of smaller predators ambushed them at night, Rash raised her spear, only to watch Kale crush skulls with stones, tear jaws apart with his bare hands, and snap spines as though he were breaking twigs. Each time, he emerged battered but alive, while she stared in silence, unable to reconcile the fragile myth of humans with the monster standing before her. Yet there was more to him than violence. At night, when they camped beneath the twin moons, Kale spoke little, but his voice carried weight when he did. He told her of his crew, of a crash that had left him stranded, of burying comrades one by one, until only he remained. His strength was not pride, but necessity born of grief and survival. You fear me, he said one night, staring into the fire. Rash's feathers rustled uneasily. I fear what you are capable of. He gave a bitter laugh. So do I. Climax, the apex hunt. On the fourth day, the jungle itself seemed to grow restless. The trees shook with distant tremors, and the air tasted of iron. Rash knew what it meant. A greater predator was coming. The Drethi myth spoke of them. Apex among apex. Hunters that even the Thresker fled from. Few Verthi had ever seen one and lived. When it came, it was like a nightmare made flesh. The beast rose in the mist on 6 legs, each as thick as a tree trunk, armored with crystalline plating that shimmered like molten glass. Its maw gaped wide, rows of teeth serrated like saws. It was called a Vorin, and it was death incarnate. Rash's heart pounded. Her spear felt like a child's toy. Beside her, Kale exhaled slowly. No fear in his eyes, only focus. You run, he said. No, she snapped. I am Verthi. I will not. You'll die. Kale cut her off. His voice was iron. I've survived this long because I know when to fight and when to flee. You, he pointed at her, will not survive this one. I might. Rash hesitated, every instinct warring with pride. But when the Vorin roared, the sound breaking trees and shaking earth, she felt her courage falter. She realized the truth. If anyone had a chance to stop it, it was a human. And so she ran. From the cover of the canopy, Rash watched. The Vorin lunged, claws gouging the earth. Kale met it head-on, blade flashing, body weaving between strikes that could have crushed boulders. He moved like no being she had ever seen. Feral, relentless, unyielding. He hacked at joints, ripped at tendons, jammed broken spears and rocks into creatures' wounds. Blood poured like rivers, but still the Vorin fought. It seized Kale in its jaws, and for a heartbeat, Rash thought it was over. But Kale roared, a sound that rivaled the beast, and with impossible strength. He forced its jaws apart, muscles straining, bones cracking. His blade plunged deep into the roof of its mouth, again and again, until the Vorin convulsed and collapsed in a spray of gore. When it finally lay still, Kale stood over it, shaking, covered in blood, barely breathing. Rash realized her claws were trembling. She had just watched a human rip the greatest apex predator of Dreth into chunks, as if it were nothing. Ending. Understanding the monster. When she emerged from hiding, Kale was on his knees beside the carcass, hands coated in blood. His eyes met hers, hollow yet alive. You see now, he rasped. Why, even I fear what I become. Rash approached slowly, her feathers raised in awe. She looked at the ruin of the predator, then back at him. You are no prey creature, she said softly, and no ordinary predator. You are something else. He gave a bitter half-smile. Maybe that's why no rescue came. Maybe they knew. For a long moment, they stood in silence. Then Rash extended her hand, not as a warrior, but as one survivor to another. Come with me, she said. The Dominion will want to study you, but I will make sure they do not cage you. What I saw today was not a beast. It was a survivor. Kale stared at her hand, then clasped it, his grip strong, unyielding. And as they left the corpse of the Vorin behind, Tyrash knew her world had changed. Because she had seen the truth. Humans were not fragile. They were the monsters that monsters feared.